Today we're going to be talking about why effective leaders empower and inspire. I'm going to give you 7 tips on what you can do to empower and inspire your workforce. Hi, I'm Michael Robinson and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of upcoming shows. Today we're talking about why effective leaders empower and inspire. I'm going to give you 7 tips on what you can do to move your team forward in that direction. Every leader that I know wants to succeed in his or her job. Whether he is the human resources director or she is the vice president of operations, or the person is the CEO or president of a company, or the manager of a unit, or the founder of a company. Everyone wants to succeed in that field, right? In that career. And the key to doing so is, of course, knowing your job, knowing the dynamics of the level of productivity needed to do your job. But it also means having a team of people who are inspired and empowered to go above and beyond in producing the best results for your company, your department, or your team. Now, what that means is that we have to have a highly motivated team. That's easier said than done. Most managers are good at their jobs. They're good at the productivity of their jobs, but they're not very good at managing people. In fact, I dare say that most managers don't like the idea of managing people. It becomes cumbersome, it becomes irritating because you're dealing with the dynamics of personalities, you're dealing with conflict resolutions, you're dealing with performance appraisals, you're dealing with correcting people, you're dealing with accountability, right? And that oftentimes can be a fly in the ointment when it comes to making sure that your department or your company shines. So the bottom line is understanding that if you are going to have an effective department or effective business, you are going to have an effective team. And that means paying attention to how you approach your team members. The interesting thing is that I was thinking about this morning, that even though in college you're taught all the dynamics of running a company or managing a team or whatever it is you've done in business management, in my case, business management and finance, when you get to the workplace, there are a lot more moving parts than what you are taught in school. And managing a team is much more multifaceted than what any educational system can teach you. It means being intuitive, it means being responsive, and it means being able to move on a dime when necessary. Because it's not as simple as learning the social aspects or the psychological aspects of team leadership. It's about understanding the individual components that make up your team. So need I say, in order for you to be successful at your job, your team has to be above and beyond successful at their jobs. And that means paying attention. It means inspiring. It means empowering. So let's look at this carefully to see how you can make sure that your team is empowered and inspired to get the job done. Let's face it, some team members are superstars. They're highly motivated, they're productive, they get the job done, they shine. While others are a combination of different components of what I just mentioned. Now, superstars are usually less than 10% of the workforce. The other 90% falls in categories of being somewhat motivated some days, maybe not motivated other days, maybe somewhat productive, maybe not so productive. So how do you get everybody up to par? Well, the solution is effective leadership. And that means empowering and inspiring your team. And I'm going to give you 7 tips on what you can do to move that process along. Number 1, do an inventory of your team members. understand how each person is performing, understand their strengths and their weaknesses. The ones that are not so strong and need help, sit them down and talk to them. Let them know honestly and candidly what their weaknesses are and how they can improve upon it. It's no good telling somebody that they're not doing something right without giving them a solution or helping them along. Let them know that you believe in them. They need to know that you believe in them, and sometimes that can set the bar higher for them to produce effectively. Number 2, get in the weeds when necessary. It's nice when the boss is able to roll up his or her sleeves and get into production when things are not moving along as rapidly as one would like, especially when deadlines are approaching, when productivity is somewhat slow and staff members are not as motivated. Maybe they're overwhelmed, maybe they're underwhelmed, maybe they're disinterested or disengaged. When you get involved, it motivates them to step up to the plate and shine. It sets the bar higher because they want to now prove to you that they're not slacking on the job, but they're doing their job effectively and efficiently. It's a psychological approach because it's saying to people, we're all in this together. It's not you against me, but it's us together. Number 3, engage your team members. Ask questions, suggestions on how the job could be done more productively. You know, a lot of companies have old ways of doing things and they think that that's the best possible way. But you could have hired someone within the past 6 months who understands the dynamics of the job and has solutions, but may not want to say anything because nobody wants to rock the boat, nobody wants to get the boss upset. But if you were to engage somebody and say, hey, do you have any ideas on how you can do this a little differently or a little bit more efficiently or faster? You'll be surprised. People are amazing. They have ideas, but they don't want to say anything. So if you don't ask, you don't get. Engage your staff members. Ask for opinions and suggestions. You never know. You might be surprised. Number 4, give constructive feedback when necessary. Never threaten and never disrespect your staff. You don't want a disgruntled employee. You want an empowered worker. Number 5, guide versus intimidate. A lot of employees are scared of their bosses because they feel somewhat intimidated by that person. Whether it is the way the person speaks to them, it could be the title the person has, for goodness sakes. It's not necessarily your actions, it could be just your position. So what that means is breaking down the barrier and allowing that person to see you as an individual. Not necessarily their friend, of course, but certainly see you as someone who is engaged and interested in him or her. And that means being able to break that barrier down and guide when necessary. Don't intimidate. Intimidation does not get you anywhere. Number 6, pay attention to the mood of your team on a daily basis. What is the mood like today? Is this a day for maybe ordering pizza? Maybe that will boost the mood of the team. Or maybe you need to have a staff meeting. Maybe you need to share ideas. Maybe you need to motivate. Maybe you need to do something different, something unexpected and something interesting that will shift the narrative, shift the energy, shift the dynamics of the team. If they're not motivated, if they're gloomy, if they're sad, if they're not producing the way you expect them to. And number 7, reward and show gratitude. One of the things that we do oftentimes is that we expect people to perform at their best at all times. And even though they do, managers oftentimes just expect that, well, that's your job. You should be doing exceptionally well. However, if you were to look at the dynamics or the landscape of your entire workforce, you would see that there is some disparity when it comes to level of productivity. Therefore, when someone is doing exceptionally well, you want to reward that person. You want to do something nice for him or her. You want to give thanks. Even though it's his job or her job, giving thanks is a way of acknowledging that that person is doing well, and do it in a way that allows others to be a part of the conversation. So it's not just done privately, even though private gratitude is great. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to say to somebody personally, I think you're doing an amazing job, keep it up. But it's also amazingly supportive for team members to be a part of the conversation and share in that level of productivity and gratitude and appreciation seen by managers. So remember that if you're going to have a workforce that is moving along, growing and thriving, it means that your career as a leader is moving along, growing and thriving. And in order to do that, you have to inspire and you have to empower. You inspire by your stories, you inspire by your words, and you inspire by your actions. You empower others by giving them the tools and the affirmation to do their jobs in a way that is above and beyond their expectation, your expectation. And you'll be surprised at how amazing your workforce can evolve in front of you. Until next time, I'm Michael Robinson.